My name is Pam Lyons, and I am Associate Director for the Birmingham Public Library. And I'm reviewing The House at the End of the Road, the story of 3 generations of an interracial family in the American South by W. Ralph Eubanks. I came aware of this book at the annual American Library Association conference. I was attending a meeting and had no idea that an author would be addressing the group. He really got my attention when he said his book centered on his grandparents in Washington County, Alabama. Eubanks let the audience know right away that the title of the book, The House at the End of the Road, was not given to evoke some serene, idyllic image in the mind of the reader. It was given to mark territory. Those who approached the house at the end of the long, winding road had better have good intentions. There was one way in and one way out, and Jim Richardson, the author's grandfather, was more than willing to confront whatever presented itself on his property to protect his family. It was 1915, and a middle-class white man from a respected family chose to openly court and marry a fair-skinned black woman named Edna Howell. This relationship was not the kind that the literature of the antebellum South records, where white men often had 2 families in walking distance of each other. Jim Richardson, a rebel of the societal mores, had the reputation of being someone you wouldn't want to cross. He was no bully, but he'd do what he had to do to protect his family. Ralph Eubanks' story is not just a family history. It examines the deeply rooted customs that outweighed bloodline 2 generations later. Eubanks' story is different because it shows how Jim and Edna Richardson chose to live their lives and rear their children. Edna Howell Richardson was an equal partner in her marriage. She was a force to be reckoned with, not subservient or deferential to her courageous husband. Most of Jim Richardson's family disowned him when he married Edna, so Jim started his own logging business. He built an exceptional home for his family and hired help to assist Edna with the household and cook for the loggers who worked for him. Ironically, another factor beyond the physical location of the house served as protection for Jim Richardson and his family. The community did not want a black woman to become a landowner, nor their children. Jim Richardson later had to deed land to his 4 children because of their race and to prevent his family from taking the land rightfully theirs. Some census records show the children as white. Other records show them as black. The real test comes when Edna dies of pneumonia when their youngest child is 7 years old, the author's mother. Many of Jim's friends wanted to send the children north and have them pass for white. But Jim stood firm in his identity principles and kept his family in Washington County. There are so many unexpected twists and turns that show how ingrained societal practices are. The author's interviews of those who knew his grandparents, aunts, and uncles revealed the reticence he encountered. The topic was taboo for many. Remarkably, Eubanks stumbles on his interracial family tree as a teenager when he overhears his father say to his mother that it was one of the hardest things he had to do was to ask her father, a white man, Jim Richardson, for her hand in marriage. Jim Richardson passed away just months before the author's birth. This was the first time he realized his grandfather was white. His family never spoke of race. They only spoke of him as being his grandfather. But as the author revisits Washington County with his own 11-year-old interracial daughter, he has a different focus. There's respect for her own identity, but she's more concerned about justice and equality. Eubanks hopes that this new generation is onto something.